Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Today, we are diving straight into some seriously massive diplomatic fault lines opening up right now in the global AI supply chain. We're talking about a potential split in how advanced tech is governed on a global scale. And, more importantly, how nations might soon find themselves backed into a corner, forced to navigate some heavily conflicting technology partnerships.
To really get what's at stake here, let's look at a quote that honestly captures this tension perfectly. On August 14th, 2026, Reuters reported on an internal U.S. State Department draft that literally contained this exact warning. To be part of everything is to be part of nothing. The draft reportedly suggests that being a part of the U.S.-led Pax Silica coalition simply can't coexist with what they see as duplicative or conflicting initiatives.
Now, before we go any further, we really need to set the record straight on exactly what this document is and, what it isn't. This is an internal, undated draft that was reported by Reuters. It has absolutely not been confirmed as official U.S. policy yet. So it's absolutely crucial we view this as a reported proposal that's just under internal review, rather than some finalized diplomatic mandate.
So here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with the Kazakhstan overlap, move into the reported U.S. draft, compare Pax Silica and WAICO, dig into the critical mineral stakes, separate the facts from the claims and unknowns, and then wrap up with 3 unranked scenarios. Okay, Section 1, the Kazakhstan overlap, the dual participant.
So Kazakhstan provides this fascinating, real-world stress test for all of this. Back in June 2026, they formally joined the U.S.-led Pax Silica initiative. But then, literally just 1 month later, they signed on as a founding member of China's newly established World Artificial Intelligence Cooperation Organization, or WAICO as we'll call it. According to Reuters, Kazakhstan is the only country we know of so far sitting in both of these competing camps. Now, I should mention that independent analysis has only managed to verify 6 of WAICO's 29 founding members. But Kazakhstan's dual participation, that is a confirmed fact. It makes them the absolute clearest visible test case for overlapping alignments.
Moving on to Section 2, the reported U.S. draft, exclusivity warning.
According to the Reuters report, this internal draft was actually meant for the 35 international signatories of an AI opportunity statement. The text reportedly warns that dual participation in rival initiatives, like WAICO, for instance, could actually get a country kicked out of Pax Silica. Defending this logic, an anonymous U.S. official essentially told Reuters that it's just really tough to see how a country can be a trusted partner in the U.S. ecosystem, while simultaneously participating in an initiative designed by China to advance a competing AI vision.
All right, Section 3. Pax Silica versus WAICO, competing frameworks.
The friction between these two groups really boils down to their completely contrasting architectures. If we look at pre-founding analysis, the U.S.-led Pax Silica is laser-focused on upstream physical bottlenecks, thanks securing trusted semiconductor ecosystems. Conversely, official Chinese statements frame WAICO as an intergovernmental body focused on the downstream stuff, like AI software diffusion and sharing benefits. It's really important to note here that claims saying these two are operationally incompatible, well, right now that's just an analytical interpretation. For all we know, they might just be targeting entirely different layers of the supply chain.
Let's look at Section 4, the critical mineral stakes, securing physical inputs.
Geopolitics is rarely just about the software. It almost always comes back down to hard physical resources. Kazakhstan happens to hold massive reserves of the critical minerals you absolutely need to fuel advanced technologies. And securing those physical inputs, that is a huge, stated priority for Pax Silica. So if a mandate forces Kazakhstan to pick a side, Pax Silica genuinely risks losing a vital mineral node. Reuters explicitly attributes Washington's exclusivity draft to an effort to deny China resources in the AI race. But keep in mind, this is a reported motive, not some stated official statutory purpose.
The sheer speed of this escalation is honestly kind of remarkable. Let's quickly map it out. The U.S. launches Pax Silica in December 2025. Kazakhstan joins up in June 2026. Literally exactly a month later, July 16th, China establishes WAICO, with Kazakhstan right there as a co-founder. Then, right around this exact same time, a U.S. funding notice for a Pax Silica logistics project pops up online. And there's this weird unresolved metadata anomaly on the official government site for it. The version history says July 17th, but the search index says July 24th. Kind of strange, right? Finally, on August 14th, Reuters reports on the U.S. exclusivity draft, bringing us right up to the current flashpoint.
On to Section 5, facts, claims, and unknowns, separating evidence.
With so many moving parts here, we really need to untangle the facts from the speculation. Let's look at what's actually confirmed.
Pax Silica definitely has 24 signatories. A really notable detail here is that the EU Commission signed for the whole bloc, but it was individual European states that actually signed that separate 35-nation AI opportunity statement. Now for the claim stuff. The idea that the U.S.'s motive is resource denial against China, that remains purely a reported claim by Reuters. And finally, the unknowns. We still don't have a fully verified roster of WAICO's 29 members, we don't know their final institutional roles, and we have no idea exactly how these targeted governments are officially reacting to the U.S. draft.
Oh, and it's also absolutely vital that we parse official actions correctly here. During the 2026 WAICO conference, President Xi Jinping separately pledged 5,000 AI training slots to developing nations. But we really should view this as a bilateral capacity-building commitment strictly from the Chinese government. It's totally distinct from any formal institutional benefits of actually being a WAICO member.
All right, our final section, Section 6, 3 unranked scenarios, possible outcomes. Since this exclusivity mandate is still just an unconfirmed draft, we have to project forward using a few analytical scenarios. Now, we aren't assigning probabilities to any of these, they are just possibilities. Scenario 1 is formal exclusivity is enforced. The U.S. finalizes the draft, meaning nations like Kazakhstan would literally have to pull out of WAICO or else get kicked out of Pax Silica. Scenario 2 is conditional compatibility. Basically, the draft gets softened up a bit, allowing countries to overlap as long as their critical physical infrastructure is heavily ring-fenced from high-risk vendors. And then Scenario 3 is policy non-implementation. That's where the drafted letter is just never formally transmitted at all, and it basically ends up serving as pure diplomatic signaling. So, what does this all mean? Will the U.S. State Department actually approve and officially transmit this drafted exclusivity policy? And if they do, how in the world will resource-rich nations respond when they are forced to choose? Ultimately, whether this internal draft transitions into real, operational policy is going to test the absolute limits of economic statecraft. The outcome here will literally determine if the future of global AI governance stays interconnected or if it completely fractures into exclusive competing spheres. We'll be keeping a very close eye on it.